heroes
of
humility, 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 humility. This is not a charade. This is real. These words you are about to hear are coming from real humans on a mission to save the human race from itself. Buckle up while these delusional heroes of humility, aka hoes, attempt to right the wrongs in everyday human behavior. So today we are actually going to be recording a video trying to identify who the heroes of humility are. With visual acuity, you'll see what's happening behind the scenes of Heroes of Humility. Thank you for being here again. This is the show about social and behavioral snafus, the mistakes that we need to discuss a little bit so that we maybe can make a difference in the world. I think we might be helping people.
One crisis at a time, yes.
A lot of crises. So Pierce, red.
Yes.
When I point to you, if you want to say something, and then 11. I'm
going to sit this one out.
No, you know what?
It's going great.
Yeah, but that way people can actually see who Pierce and red and 11 are. I have some thoughts. I'm just trying to, help.
No, now we're in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Now, the lighting in here may not be perfect. There's a lot of things that aren't going to be. Heroes of Humility is not about perfection. It is about
the lack of
better than perfection.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I don't want to sound like an elitist, but you got to want it. You got to dig down deep. We're going to be discussing some very important things that are affecting everybody in ways they don't even know. Always on the show, what we do first is we discuss some anecdote, some observation about an embarrassing scenario.
No, we try to stick to it.
We try to stick to that, right?
Okay, yeah.
So that's usually in the beginning. Then the second part of the show is where we go into our topic. And today's topic is going to be, are we devolving in certain ways? Not in ways that get everybody spun up on social media, but in the ways that we should be able to laugh at. Maybe some are serious, but we're going to find some comedy in them, because otherwise you might just jerk the wheel and drive into
jerking is rough is bad.
Yeah, so I'm not going to comment too much on Red's jerking, but I do want to say...
You did, fantastic host that he is. Pierce gave us all beef jerky, so I'm sure it's going to smell a lot of man meat in this room.
That jerky, that'll be edited out. The other thing is...
So many things I can say right now.
What a great host, though. We're nourished.
Yeah, why is Levin dropping chow? We may not edit this. Did you ever tune in and watch any of those shows that were like supposed to be quote unquote live? I'm sure they did some editing. We don't do a lot of editing, but I do some. This isn't going to be edited. Probably we're just going to be, because we haven't figured out how to combine audio and video files. That's like up here.
That's a different
tier. We're still right here. I don't know if the camera can catch the distance between these two.
The camera
visuals.
has the whole room.
This studio is where there's a lot of, testosterone, ego powers.
Yeah, there's sticky stuff on the ceiling.
There's lasers. So I put all the special effects on. Yeah. I had the plumber come over this morning.
Oh.
Yeah, you did.
Your plumbing's good,
Clean your pipes.
Anyhow, so he came over. He was supposed to be here at 9. He got here about 12. That window of time when they're supposed to be here, we'll be there between 9 and 12, sir. He comes at 11:58.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a whole topic on itself.
Yeah, that's a different topic. But we're going to go into something embarrassing. Now, what I try to do when something like that happens is I don't exploit it, but I say, all right, bro, because I got up early, right? Now, he's a good guy. I've talked with him before.
I'm sure he just had another job. Took some time.
I mean, we can be
either that or he slept in. Or he pulled a Pierce and he got up.
Wow, you're feeling very generous today.
10 o'clock.
He got up early, 10 o'clock.
He's a good guy. He got up early. I got up at 9. What time did I? No, I had to get up at 8:45. I went to bed late. Let's not get into every detail of Pierce's life.
He said I got up early and it's 8:45.
We don't need to dissect who Pierce is, the DNA, the chromosomes. Did he have enough conditioner? All these things.
Yes.
I'm just saying that I got up a little earlier than I wanted, and I was ready to go. And the guy didn't show up, and I thought, man, those are another 2 hours of precious sleep. So when I met with him. I said, hey, I'm going to go. I had to change the UV lamp in my water. So my water goes through 4 filtration processes. Have we lost any listeners? We can't see through I can't see on the other side.
Maybe on the video feeds. Okay.
How do I rush the story? So the water goes through 4 processes: sediment, hard water, then it goes into some carbon, it eliminates chlorine, then it goes into like a coconut shell, then it goes into a UV lamp. So there's lasers. So the lasers need to be replaced at 365 days. After the end of the 364th day, you start to get a little beep. And that beep is incessant. It's the technology that for some reason I bought into. Now the guy says, hey, you don't really need that. And I said, dude, you don't know. You don't know. Don't tell me what I need, all right? Don't tell me what I need. He says, you can go ahead and just put that filthy water into your house without the UV lamp. We don't usually just need a UV lamp for wells, but this system takes all the chlorine out. And if we're busy or whatever, and maybe we're not here during a day, that water is then sitting. So after a while, when you don't have chlorine in your water, you see toilets and stuff start to develop film, and you can smell stuff. Not in the toilets, but in the pipes too. So this sanitizes the water. So that thing needs to be changed. So I said, hey, you get started on this one fixture I was having replaced in the garage, and then you do the other one upstairs, and I'll go ahead and replace the UV lamp. That needs to be done at the same time because we're depressurizing the system. It was a whole thing. So anyway, the guy was very patient. This is a long story, man. This is I know it's it's
end
not
of episode.
But the thing is, when he came, I told him, bro, you might be done with your part upstairs before I've even taken that UV lamp. I'm just giving you a heads up because I am a perfectionist. And I said, I apologize. I said, Mike. I called him by his first name, Mike. I apologize. So he said, it's all right. It's all right. So, and part of that grace, I think, was he felt a little bad about it. Was 11:58. I kind of made it funny. I never try to make it hard for somebody, but I said, Mike, I could have slept in, maybe another 10 minutes. Maybe another whatever, and he kind of laughed. When we have a good thing, a good relationship. So anyway,
I'm glad your guys' relationship's going so well.
Yeah. I want to have good relationships with people. My plumber, okay, my plumber, my doctor, he's seen me.
Your hairstylist, yeah.
Oh, my hair. The lady that cuts my hair, she is an angel, and she is. I told her, you're bringing joy to you're making the world a better place.
Oh yeah.
I gotta look at people's faces because I like to make sure I haven't lost anyone. I think it's good to have a good relationship with everybody, man. Now sometimes you don't always look at your neighbors when you're going in and out of your house, but it's probably good to just throw a smile. Felt good the other day. I threw a smile. But those are a couple of that was kind of embarrassing.
You have to be careful with that sometimes.
Yeah,
especially when you have the hair you have. And you smile, they could be taking it the wrong way.
You could look like a serial killer.
Yeah. See. Now I've been told I need to smile just so I don't look like a serial killer.
I'm assessing your nonverbal
Where
face.
Pierce is exactly the opposite. You have the flowing hair, the wind's hitting it just so. The silkiness is elevated by the time of day the light hits it.
Not sure I like what I'm hearing.
And you smile, and possibly you could have got moisture in your eye, and you wink at your neighbor.
They're getting Dahmer vibes.
You might
a little sarcasm. Yeah, I'm watching your nonverbal cues. I'm seeing a little bit of sarcasm, and I thought, well, yeah, if I wasn't listening, if I was on the other side of this podcast just listening, and I'd be like, wow, Red is no, come on, man, that's ridiculous. For people that might not be seeing this, Red was being very sarcastic, I'll tell you. His face said it all. His nonverbals, his shoulders. So, yeah, I mean, that was kind of embarrassing because he came down. This is live, man. That was my watch. It just hit the table. That guy came down, and he said, do you want me to time you? And I said, let's not make it a contest, dude. Let's not make it a contest right now. You go do your thing up there. I'm going to trust that you're not going to go through my underwear, that you're not, whatever's happening up there, I trust you, bro. So he went up there, and I trusted him. I was down here, and I didn't, when he came, but I forgot I had to let the UV lamp sit for 10 minutes before I started working on it. So he had one leg up on me. But when he came down, I wasn't done yet. God bless him, dude. He waited. Very cool guy. So I'll give him a shout out. I'm not going to embarrass him.
Mike the plumber.
Yeah, Mike the plumber. Just know that there's a guy out there named Mike, and he's got a heart of gold. And he's a plumber. So that should tell you a lot of what you need to know.
Yeah, you know what? That is very true.
He was the supervisor because I said, I don't want to be difficult, but the last guy that came out.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Send the supervisor.
That's next show.
Yeah, let's save that for the next show. All right.
Red alert. That guy's calling again. Red alert. Yep, send the supervisor.
You can get the pressure. Okay, I'll just say this. Look, you can get the pressure of your house tested, and if it's over about 85 or into the 90s, you may have too high a pressure. And then you can there's other things to deal with. You can have a pressure relief valve put in and stuff. But I was told I needed one, and I called the city. The guy came out and he's like, you don't need one of those. Your pressure is like at 85. And I said, oh, so you mean my pressure is perfect? And he's like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You got perfect pressure,
yeah,
Pierce.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the first time I heard that sentence. But, yeah, it was fine. So guess what? That would have cost me about $800, $750. And he said, hey, we're going to give you a discount because of your contract with us. So your discounted rate is $750. I said, you could take that discounted rate. You're adios,
wow.
sir. I didn't say it mean,
but
I said it with my nonverbals. I said it with my nonverbals.
Send the supervisor
send
right
out the
now.
dumber vibes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Red, it's your turn, man. If you have an embarrassing scenario, now, ladies and gentlemen, watch as Red tries to decide which story out of all the ones he did his homework on, which one is among the tens of stories. Just kidding, no pressure. And if you want to go 11, it's
if you got it popping in your head, by all means, go for it.
I have a lot of embarrassing stuff that goes.
Yeah, I can see that on a daily basis.
It's tricky to navigate, but I'm aware of this stuff. I try to be aware of it. I try to make an observation. A note.
That was that's a conversation I actually was just having not too long ago of different personalities. Does it make it okay if you have a very strong personality because you're self-aware?
People are, I hate to rely on my academia. When I was in collegiate atmosphere,
wow.
My major was social and behavioral. I just saw 11 his eyes just went through his freaking skull, dude. What a dick.
Did you get that
eye
roll on camera?
Yeah, I hope the camera shows it because I only caught a glimpse of it. Now we'll get to see forensic evidence of what a dick, dude. All right, let's just go over that. So, dude, I went to school for like 6 years, unfortunately. And okay, here.
Dr. Pierce, thank you.
This is what I'll say is in the social and behavioral sciences. Thank you. But there was a thing that I learned about because a lot of my friends were just having a good time. And I was like, please, God, just let me do really well in this class because I think I'm going to be able to provide someday for people. And I did because all I did was I studied. And so one thing I remember learning is that you can't really assume that everybody thinks a certain way. But it helps sometimes when you're trying to understand phenomena. It's obviously a scientific approach. You want to try to, develop some understanding of patterns. And there are patterns, and certain people fall into these patterns. And certain people can be categorized as either a high, low self-monitor, somebody who monitors their behavior a lot. And I'm probably in the high category. I'm like aware of myself. There's some people that are oblivious.
I guess one of the comments is so if say you have somebody that's a specific a strong personality, you may have had a boss that way that just, you're like, dang, this guy's got such a strong personality, but you probably word it differently. Now, is it okay that he's self-aware, two, there must be a part of his personality that says, F it, I'm this way, people just have to accept it. Does that seem like that person now is rude or they don't care? Because if you're self-aware, usually you might pull back a little bit.
No, I think if you're going that route, think of the people of Walmart. You ever seen that?
Oh, I love that. I got in trouble for looking at that at work. What the hell are you looking at?
I think we're on the not so aware. I mean, at a certain point, you do care a little bit, right? You don't want to.
Yeah. Well, that's what I say. Like even about myself, you might get angry at a customer transaction that's not going your way. And I know, especially the older I get, the less I care about maybe somebody watching me being upset.
Yeah, that's me. I'm very self-aware.
Well, and
I don't give a crap what anybody thinks about me. Like I haven't for a long time. But I still take care of myself. I still want to be present myself as a decent, clean person. I don't want to be
right. I'll vouch for that. I'll vouch for that.
Yeah.
I think that's but see, that's not necessarily a personality trait. It's just like one of the tools in your cognitive tool belt. It's a function. So like you might be a high self-monitor, but you can have people, and we've had some similar bosses, and those guys, they're high self-monitors, but they don't know how to play nice.
Yeah, exactly.
And that problem is that they are a high self-monitor, but they're also unaware. So they might be monitoring themselves very highly, but they also operate in perceiving the world under a huge filter of delusion.
Yeah,
they
like
don't
a
see
tunnel
that
vision
people-
of their of themselves. Like,
they don't see what other people see,
You know,
okay.
or they ignore.
I kind of got, being in my line of work for so long, the supervisors that were like that, they're always the guys that are like self-conscious about themselves, you know, or like,
Yeah, you're right. You're
they're
absolutely
always the
right.
guys that had
Insecure,
and an
maybe?
ego.
insecure.
They had an
yeah.
ego.
Had
and,
an ego, but it was like a fake ego. They're trying to be something they're not. They think they have to be this
A tough
like,
guy.
oh, I'm in this supervisor position now. I got to be this strong a-hole, you know,
Yeah, alpha,
and
too
fuck
alpha,
with
dude.
everyone, and
Yeah.
and it's like that's not alpha, dude.
These
like,
are the
like, you're a douche.
These are the
Oops,
guys.
sorry.
These are the guys messing up what I think was used to be construed as acceptable masculinity in a way. I don't know if that's the right word, but
that sounds very
Kind of-
2023. Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to be aware, dude. The thing is those guys are messing it up. It's like when a cop behaves poorly. And gosh, this is getting into. We're not that serious here on the show, but it's when somebody does something
These
dumb.
are challenges that people deal with.
But these are real things, right?
I was a supervisor. I was in charge of a lot of people.
Yeah.
I did a lot of. I was never once that way, and I did more crazy, over the top stuff. I mean, we've talked about my resume kind of here a little bit, and never once was I like that. I'm all about taking care of the people that are under me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
That-
I'm
you
going
know-
to take care of you guys. Like
This is the kind
I'm
of
not going to screw you over. Like that's not a good.
This is the kind of supervisor 11 was. I worked with him, and the thing is that, and even though you may not have been a supervisor at the time, I'm sure you had to tell people to do after you left my office, because I know you were part of two different departments. But anyway, there were there's a thing where being a supervisor is not something that everybody should want to do.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You're not first anymore. You're supposed to be putting other people
Yeah.
ahead of your own desires
Exactly.
and
That's a leader.
motivations. And that is a leader. And people don't want to be in those positions for the right reasons. And when you can see somebody going into those positions who doesn't want to do that, that's not who you want in management. That's not who you want in a supervisor. We've worked for people like that, and that makes it rough, because what happens is that it hurts morale, and everybody else is just people begin looking out for themselves to protect themselves, to survive, and now you've broke down like a cohesive work group because you've lost the idea of team, and it's just bad because it's toxic. It's just the guy looking out for himself, and that's why he wanted to be into management.
Oh no, absolutely. We've been in a position before where you've been around long enough. You see guys that will be into, and when I say guys, I mean guys or girls in a position where, hey, you've been with the company 5-6 years, you're going to be a supervisor, and yet they become a supervisor and they had whether no desire or no training at all involved in it, and it was just because they've been around long enough. And we deal with sometimes these poor managers where I'm sure we all kind of remember starting up in the beginning of our career, when you might meet a guy who just has forward thinking capability, and they just naturally get it, and they don't need extra training or whatnot. And those are the type of people that just become natural leaders. They're just trying to do a good job themselves, and so people look up to them naturally. And those are the ones that are like, man, you should be a boss. And some of these guys don't want to have.
That's how I got my supervisor job. Nobody really wanted it, and there was one other guy that would have got it if I didn't put in for it. And we were all. He's the dude that takes the notebook around the office and he's like taking notes on everyone and then trying to like turn them in. Yeah, just screw everybody over. And we kind of figured out that's what he was doing. And for some reason, everyone's coming to me saying, "Oh man, he's gonna put in for this. Like, why don't you do it?" And I was. All right, I'll do it. And it ended up being a really good thing. It was great. I did it for a few years, and then I stuck mostly to team stuff. But I was in charge of a lot of stuff on the team as well. So I was always kind of over people, but it wasn't like a desired thing. I wasn't chasing a paycheck or anything. And a lot of people just want that pay grade, Like,
oh yeah, that's they chase the pay grade and not necessarily the things behind it. And I think sometimes, especially with the type of work that we do, you want somebody that you get along with and that thinks of the team first versus their own self-interest or resume building skills. Because I know we deal with that constantly, where somebody's just trying to check a box so they can
We
move
used to get
on.
guys tried out for the team just for a resume builder. They thought it would help them move on up, but you can sniff those guys out pretty quick.
Yeah,
Plus, you had to be a pretty hard charger to be on our team, man.
Yeah, so like you said, you can get through the weeds of that really quickly. But
Well,
sometimes
we put them through like a hell week or two, and by the third day, second or third day, you know who means
really
business
wants
and who
it.
doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a natural order to things. Hopefully they kind of evolve and work out on their own. But when you get a ton of people running the show that are kind of like that, it makes it hard, you know.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You know, so one of the topics that we had here for this show, people like that in the wrong positions, made me think about it, because they have too many competing things going on in their mind. And I think it's way overvalued or perceived in a positive way that people are capable of doing too many things at one time. They think they can make everybody like them, and then they can also appease a guy who maybe doesn't have their head screwed on correctly about moral issues. You can't have too many masters. And just like that in your mind, I don't think you can have. We were going to talk about how there are issues with, I think, people devolving a little bit where they've just got too many things going on. And now, instead of thinking through things and being conscious in your moment, you lose track. And I do this. The other day, I just turned on the stove. I don't even know which burner I was turning on. I'm like just looking at, and then I'm waiting to see which one comes on, and then that's not the one. I know which dials do what, but I'm not even paying attention. I caught a Macho Man video in the background, on YouTube.
Got
right?
distracted.
I don't know how YouTube knows I'm gonna dial in for this, but I need to see this Macho Man video. Yes, the vindictive emotions. Ooh, yeah, dig it. And I said, I need to see this guy right now. I want to see what he's got in store. You know, God rest his soul. So I'm looking at it. Elizabeth is already icing the champagne, and Hulk Hogan drew the line, and I'm just following it up. You know, it's like he talked about like 10 minutes of how Hulk Hogan drew a line in the sand. Now he's just got to
Just so everyone knows, half the stuff he says to me
it's
in his voice?
inspired by.
yes.
I mean, the guy was a savant in a way. You know, he had so many pearls of wisdom for us.
It's either that or the Star Wars dude. Who is it?
No.
No.
Well, here, let me do an impression and you guys see. So, tell me something.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, tell me something that maybe you did to somebody by mistake and you're not proud of it, but it might have caused some grief to somebody. Just tell me. Think of something.
Oh, yeah. This one of the times I was out at the bar and somebody stepped on my shoe, and just naturally I wasn't proud of it, but I pushed back just as a natural thing, and it was a female behind me.
Good. You know, but anyway, I was watching. I got off track, dude. It's your fault, 11. So I was watching. I put my phone in the fridge.
She gets distracted
I
easily.
put my phone in the fridge.
Holy
with
crap.
With a carton that I had in my hand. I light the burner. I'm like, shit, I don't want to burn my.
the burner.
I had another.
How old is this house?
I had another burner. I had another thing of peas heating up. I don't like the peas to get too hot, because then when they
soggy
wrinkle,
peas, yeah.
when those peas wrinkle, your peas are losing nutrients, dude. Way too much nutrients.
No mushy peas in the mouth.
Yeah, so I just like a little bit of heat on my peas.
Holy crap. This is another
So a
episode
little-
gone down the drain.
Just a little bit of peas with a little bit of heat. And my phone, but then I'm like, I got Macho Man over here. And I want to pause it for some reason. Because
the phone can wait.
Yeah, no, I know if I pause that, then I'm going to have to watch another one of those lame-ass commercials that YouTube wants to interject in my Macho Man video. Too many commercials. And by the way, heroes of humility, and yes, sometimes we get people reach out to us. But right now, we're just trying to bathe your ears in the sweet caresses of our vocals without commercials, okay? We don't need those commercials. We are constantly being inundated by commercials.
Yeah. You're right.
Okay, that's all I like to hear is that I'm right. So then, as I turn around, I'm like, I wanted to watch the rest. My peas are all getting wrinkled because I forgot about them, and I don't know where my phone is. So I had to go up and get my work phone, call my personal phone, and I hear it ringing, and it's in the fridge, dude.
How?
And that's scary, bro. Think about that.
Do you think that's
I want you guys to think about this.
Is that an age thing?
No, it's not. It's that I'm doing too many things. I got too many things going on. Now, I don't, if somebody thinks, I'm a good multitasker, I've read some information that there's no such thing. You need to examine. Now, I'm not saying you got to watch the P's, be so locked in on what you're doing, but there are things this carries over into. If you see people, now, for instance, of course, driving, right? Well, how about when you're conversing with somebody? Do you get a Wilco? Do you get a response? A Roger, hello. Yeah, nice to see you again. Phone etiquette. People that don't respond. Have you ever had somebody just answer the phone? That actually happened the other day to me. I called somebody, or I'll, I'm going all over. But the point is, dude,
talking about.
I'm just letting you know.
You called somebody.
Yeah,
Damn.
I actually used the phone to talk to somebody,
and they said hello.
People are doing so many things on their phone. Just go when you leave the house. Just pay attention. Look around. Everybody's on the phone. You know the way Thomas Jefferson used to write?
No, I'm not familiar.
I was familiar with his writings,
This is fantastic.
And it will make you feel something. If he had to give you a fact, he could do it in a few words. He could do it in an eloquent way. But if he used, let's say, 5 words, and you not only got the fact, but you felt it, that's something different. That is an art that's going away. Now it's about LOLs and emojis and GIFs. I'm going to use the cartoon or the photo that this other person made into a GIF to express my brilliant idea. And basically, I'm plagiarizing whoever came up with that emoji or GIF. And it's sad because I think we're devolving, man. And it even happening to me. Go. I don't want to take up all the time. Do you guys see this? Do you see it?
I laugh because sometimes when my wife has conversations with her friends, they start out the text with LOL. And I'm like, that's the first part of the conversation. Why is it? So there's a needless
it's a code.
You know what I mean? Save the LOL for when you actually laugh, not just hello. You know what I'm saying? I guess that's part of it, but that's kind of what immediately came to my head. And I went to the store. LOL. That's not LOL.
That's not an out loud. That's barely even an L.
Exactly.
You shouldn't even get one L out of that.
So now you've taken down the significance of the LOL, right?
Yes.
You're cheapening it.
Yeah.
You've cheapened the LOL.
You tell your wife, thank you for ruining LOL for the entire world.
Bastard.
When I put an LOL, it's because I'm actually laughing.
Yes.
Not just starting.
And guess what? You don't need to tell somebody you're laughing because they're going to hear you laugh.
Well, exactly.
And now, if you're on the phone.
Did you hear that? He LOL'd.
Yeah,
he did.
He just LOL'd. I heard him. I could tell he LOL'd. And it was the OL part is what I heard because I was listening. And we used to talk to people. Now everything. I even saw people in the gym communicating via text. They were right next to each other.
No, but how many times have you seen it when you go to a restaurant? And I just came back from a different state and I was over there and my wife and I looked over and 4 young teenagers sitting at the table. And instead of physically interacting, they were all for looking at their phones. And so instead of coming to a dinner, buying food, they could have probably had the same conversation they were having at the table at home.
Yeah.
Each of their own homes.
Gotta make
you know what I
point
mean?
Not to do that.
And I find myself, maybe because we're getting older, that we find the importance of having the time to actually have those interactions because a lot of us we're in a time crunch. So when we do sit down with somebody, you have that physical contact. Whereas these teenagers, it's probably I'm going with mom and dad. Here we go, another thing I don't want to do.
Look at 11. He can tell he's got something to say because I could see him. I could see his nonverbal. Yeah, I could see he's making.
He texted me. He wanted to say.
Yeah,
something.
he texted
LOL at that.
Yeah, that's not an OL.
What are you doing?
Yeah, that's not an OL.
It's just an L.
Yeah, just a regular L.
No, I was gonna.
I forgot what he was gonna say. Sorry.
I was gonna go off of the spacing out thing. I'm gonna make fun of my wife here a little bit. She is a nurse practitioner. She works.
Thank you for your service.
She works a ton, super long hours and stuff. And she's
go.
one of those people that wants to be working. When she's there, these providers will see 5 patients. She sees 17. She's constantly trying to do her job and do it well and all that stuff. So when she gets home, it's shut off, dude.
Yeah, I get that.
It's stress all day. So now it's what's super important that needs to be laser focused on at home? Nothing, right? Because she's there to relax. The amount of phones that get lost, put in weird places, find her way around the kitchen. I don't know. She's just like checked out because she's exhausted, and I can see it. So
is she the person that calls her phone to find it?
she's the person who loses it, tells me she lost it, and then we both look for it,
yeah.
and then we get the kids in on it because no one can find it.
I'm that person. There's usually a level of, if there was like a pyramid of DEFCON, I usually try, because it's become embarrassing. So I go through the first layers of DEFCON with myself. And I'm like, okay, how bad do I really want to find this right now? And when I know it's gotten bad, that's when I call in the big guns, which is, Beauty. And she can find stuff.
That's why I only put my phone down.
It's humiliating.
I've had a lot of head injuries, man. So I got some
excuses.
memory problems.
Yeah.
I do. I have excuses. There's only certain areas that I leave stuff in my house. Otherwise, it's gone.
No,
who knows?
I live by the same mantra. If it's something important, whether it's a device or something like that, I'll only put it down in a spot where I put that thing down in. Don't want to leave it behind.
Yes.
Like
sometimes I'll tell my wife when she's in shutdown mode, like I was just talking about, and it's like, she'll be like, "Oh, you told me at the wrong time, man."
No, one of my things is my brother. We're so different. He constantly loses cell phones and wallets. It's been his whole life thing. I thought it was so challenging, like a wallet and a cell phone, especially nowadays. Like most of us, if we leave the house without one of them, we turn back around and come back, right? How do you keep losing those most important things? I'll lose a pen, no big deal, right? Get another one.
Yeah, this is your important stuff.
Like a keys, wallet, cell phone, those type of things.
Cell phone, that's it.
I have spent countless times trying to help him recover one of those items, and it boggles my mind. I'm like, maybe you don't have 12 different sets of keys on your key ring, so you can put it in your pocket.
We're out of battery.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we just our battery died on our camera. But we'll see. Anyway,
send in the production crew. Can
if
you
we could
send
just
in
have
the production crew?
if we could have
please
the
come
production people come in and take care of this. I was going to say something, and LOL, I forgot what it was.
We're all getting to that stage in our life. If we don't write it down, we're gonna forget about it.
There's imagine if you added up all the time that you spend, dude, on things like that, whether it's finding your own stuff or somebody else's. That would suck.
Maybe to my brother's extent, like he's obviously thinking about something else. So those important items, devices are always second, tertiary items where he constantly forgets where they're at. Well, that's where I kind of brought that up with 11, that he says, like, I don't just throw my keys on the counter when I walk into a restaurant and sit at a table, because it's not always the same table. I always, if I'm putting my keys somewhere, they're in my pocket, because I've done that before, where I'll wear a gym shorts. I don't normally wear gym shorts out in public, at least not to other than the gym. So you kind of like, I have a special hook that I clip my keys onto my water bottle so I don't forget it. Yeah, so I go into a different level of trying to be responsible for those, because you know what? When I do lose those items, it's like breaks my heart, because I don't like that nervousness I feel. So that's probably helps me prevent that nervous response and behavior, because I hate losing my
I like being on. There's a part of me though that likes the suspense and the danger.
Oh no.
I don't know if subconsciously I do, but I can't explain it, because there was a time where I must have just come home, and I don't know if this camera's working, but I would just take my keys, and I'd be like just I don't know. I don't know how to explain why they wind up in certain places.
Okay,
dude.
People can see this room, right? Everything has a very particular place. I don't see you just getting your keys and just throwing them.
I was trying to imagine what I did, because then I would go back and look for them, and they'd be MIA. So I went ahead and I developed a drawer. Now
you could throw your keys into?
Yes. And now I do it without thinking, but there's certain things like that. Have you ever driven home and thought, I don't even remember driving home?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I haven't paid. What sign was that? What and it's weird. And that's because there's a lot of other things going on.
And you think back to like,
and you're relying on your,
was there anybody in the road?
Memory.
Yeah, you're shorter, which there is some okay to that, but you got to put things in the right file. There's some things that are okay to do that with, but there's others that don't. And it's those things that don't belong in that file. I think as a result, we're devolving. We're actually losing some of our ability. Like just thinking through things, especially if you like read a book, like I was talking about, reading certain things that the way people used to write as opposed to the way they write now.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, you got to think about it. We all have different attention spans now versus later. Because dealing with my young son, you go to a restaurant, and if he doesn't have something in his face while you're waiting for food, oh, forget about it. He's already starting to kind of throw a little bit of attitude, and you're just like, it's been 5 minutes, dude. You can't even, I don't know, think about something else, or we can have a conversation. Well, yeah, my phone, my phone ran out of battery. And
Speaking of kids, so the new Indiana Jones movie that came out, I went and watched it, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. I think it's the best one ever. 11, he went to take some kids, and I was like, I hope they like it. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to take them. I think that if you look at movies and you look at the way that they've changed, so many things now have to be instantaneous gratification. You better find an explosion or something huge happening right away
movie to get the people's attention. Otherwise, they just
exactly.
That's why Clooney and all them are complaining that the whole art of cinema is kind of going away because it's all just turning into the Michael Bay stuff. You know?
You need an explosion or some sort of action.
They're not sticking to the old formula, like the story building and all that stuff.
There's a place for like 5 Marvel movies, maybe, but there's like, every year.
The Transporter comes to mind because one of my ex-brother-in-laws, his favorite movie chain was the Transporter. And I mean, he really believed in it. Like it was
the religion,
The Departed or something like that, or The Godfather. And I'm like, it's okay. It's just pure entertainment. There's not really much storyline.
The Departed is a great movie.
And you know what I'm saying? Because it's the storyline behind it. What makes it so interesting. It's not necessarily the action shots.
No, they get you super invested.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that he was like, no, Transporter, man, it's my all-time favorite movie series. And I was, are you serious, man? Like, there's no storyline. It's just simple action explosions, which is cool. Like, you're in the mood for it, but it's definitely not nowhere in the top 10 at all of the movies I consider the best movies of all time.
And it was cool that 11's kids really liked Indiana because that told me their intellects.
They loved it.
They had the cerebral powers going on over there at the Charlie household because that's you have to kind of pay attention and watch the plot and the story unfold. You even have, now, if you haven't seen the other ones, you may, there's a few things you won't get, but still you would enjoy the movie.
The boys have seen them, but it's been a couple. They were only 16 and 12.
Yeah.
Like I wish I would have watched them before we went.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's a good advice. There's definitely
just to kind of show them
and the characters because everything I feel like in life, and if it doesn't, then there might be something wrong, but it should somehow have a connection with some humanity, with a person. If you don't care about the person, or it's going to be harder to be involved in the story. And that was a character. He's bringing that to a close. When I was a kid, and the first time I saw Christopher Reeve in this ridiculous outfit, it wasn't so ridiculous to me. It blew my mind, and I thought, that guy is Superman. And their promo was, you'll believe that a man can fly. Now, when you hear that, that wasn't somebody just, now I understand this is for effects and movie, but do you understand that sentence makes you feel something? It's not just about conveying information. Those movies were not just about gratifying people instantaneously. You watch most of that movie and it's about learning where he comes from and why he's different, and what really makes him different isn't he wears his underwear on the outside of his pants. It's that he is trying 24 hours a day to be this perfect person where about virtue, about always trying to do the right thing. And for him, it would have been the very easiest to not be that person because he has all this power. He can do all of these things, but that's why he is so, that's what makes him so unique. And I think those are the kind of things that you will miss if they have an explosion every few seconds. When I watched that as a kid, I also had to participate, almost like reading a book, because it wasn't all about the special effects. Now, they certainly did the best they could in 1979, but the thing is, you can still watch that movie with somebody who I think has a little bit of patience and intellect, and they're going to enjoy that movie because they're going to be participating in it, and they're going to see something just underneath the red and blue suit. They're going to see something else going on, and that is what I think is, is harming some society issues, is like people are just too wrapped up in the instantaneous conveyance of information.
Yeah, you got to grab my attention. You got 5 minutes.
Or the explosions. Yeah. It's got to be very quick,
Well, my kid's coming into the age where there are some of my most all-time favorite movies growing up. And I think 80s and early 90s cinema was like the best of all time. some of these movies are rated R, and so I can't. My wife is like pretty strict on that for my kid. He's not old enough to see that, but there's movies. The Predator was one of my favorite movies, and I'm like, oh, I gotta show my kid. My wife's like, nope, he cannot. I'm like, I'm sure I saw that way before I was 17 years of age. I'm almost positive I did, and I just remember being so influenced by that movie, and that was another thing is like now when you're so used to the VHS era, you watch it now in like 4K. You could see the beads of sweat on their face and dripping off the leaves of the raindrops. And it's just it's even better than it was before. But so I want to like introduce this to my kid because I don't think they make anything like that nowadays that just had the pure depth and the characters were, I think the acting maybe was even stronger. Maybe I was younger and more influenced and idolized some of these guys like Arnold. There's a new documentary. I don't know if you guys have seen it on Netflix.
I watched half of it.
Did you?
I think I need to get through the second half.
I haven't watched the second. I've watched the few first episodes while I was packing my bags before I was going on vacation. You know, because he would probably in our lifetime, that was one of the biggest, largest actors of all time. Coming from a guy who came from where he came from, he definitely wasn't well off. Yeah, you just can't help but idolize his story. If you watch this documentary, you have to have some sort of investment. Because if I had my kid watch this, he lifted weights. Okay, cool. Like, I mean, they probably won't get it, you know? You just have that story, and it takes time to hear that story to make you have self-interest in the story and investment to like, man, I want to learn more.
Super driven guy.
I always, there's something fascinating to me. I mean, I try this ever since I was a kid. Like my buddies and I they would take their bike and jump it off the board, and it was good. They got some air, but I wanted to do it in a way that it was like precise, dude. And I wanted to. I really want. I wanted
OCD is showing.
I wanted my wheels to kind of not. I didn't want to be the guy whose front wheel just thud hits the front. You know, I wanted to have a little bit of glide in my stride, in my fly there. And I've seen this guy, and I think that maybe on the tinges of lunacy, but there's something about like when you see somebody that driven to do something like in these movies we watch with I'm not going to say, but there's certain actors, like I think Cruise does this. He tries to do this
I like
reach
it
for this thing where, and I think it's cool, man, when you like, and Schwarzenegger's like that too to me. I think it's cool. It's kind of fascinating to see somebody that has such a drive for trying to do their best.
Do you do all your own stunts too?
Yeah. In fact, you'll see them on the Heroes of Humility videos.
Yes.
I've got a couple up here that I've been working out, man. I mean, and there's a potential that somebody could get harmed.
I did a jump like that with my boys recently.
Oh, yeah?
It was like a year ago.
Nice. How'd it go?
On those super expensive electric bikes. Oh, I shredded the whole sprocket.
Oh, wow, really?
But
just from the landing?
I fixed it and everything. Yeah. Well, because I'm
like
240.
Let's not, and let's not call you fat. No, you're in shape. So because you're...
I found this big dirt hill thing over here in this wash area, and I'm like, well, let's do it, kids. Let's go. And they're like, I don't know if I can do that. And then I'm like, well, I'm going to show you. And then they went and hit it too, man. We all...
Damn.
It was. Fun, I hit like this double jump. Oh man, it was wild. It's like as I'm in the air, I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm 40 years old. Man.
No, I tell you what, I had the same moment. I used to be a BMX kid, and I still have my
are.
original BMX bike. And
you'll always be a BMX kid.
I used to jump dirt bikes and all. I used to do that all the time, man. And then as I'm doing it, I'm like, I haven't done this shit in
oh no, dude,
15 years, man.
I restored mine at least a little bit. I had flat tires, so I put new tubes in it. My son's coming of age. I'm going to show him that Dad can still pop a wheelie and do bunny hop and stuff like that. I get on that bike and I'm like, oh, yeah, what am I doing? What am I doing? I don't have the athletic ability.
I'm picturing your I probably wouldn't be able to see your legs, just your upper torso, because the bike would be hidden because you're such a big guy.
Did you do
it? I could bunny hop and pop a wheelie, but not like I used to, because I'm trying to show him a little bit of like, hey, look at what you can do on a bike if you take a little bit of time.
If you want it bad enough.
Yeah, like I mean, my son, we laugh because you're trying to show him some cool things that you did as a young person, and with kids, I'll admit, when you're a child, you think your parents just were born at 40 and they're an adult, right?
Yeah.
They had no childhood or anything like that. So we're kind of in that stage with my kid right now. It's kind of like, oh, Dad, here we go.
Dude, my kids do that. Man. They look at me like I'm an idiot. Like I don't understand. So I'm like,
How dare them?
Listen, don't try
dare
that
those
on me
punks.
because I already did that.
like I was
5
messing with this
times.
stuff when you were a little tiny squishy baby,
Dude, you were doing
Don't talk to me.
you were doing barrel rolls off of trains to get to school. If you listen to a couple episodes back, this guy is like he survived his childhood. Do you understand? That was like no small feat.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, this guy, he's got, just pay attention.
You know,
right?
you go through some adventures as a young person, let's just say as a young man, and you're trying to like relate to your son now that like, hey, listen, you do this, X is going to happen. And they look at you like, come on, Dad, you sit on the couch all the time. You know, you barely get up and do much. It's like, I don't see that. He doesn't know. Hey, listen, you know what? I was doing this way before you were around.
Does it make you kind of want to demonstrate in a way?
Oh, of course,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Like, I still got it, right? I still got it. Well, I got
He's
on that
gonna call you
BMX
out,
bike,
dude.
and let me tell you, an inch high bunny hop is not,
It's not
what I used to be
impressive.
proud of.
Yeah.
I'll still get out there and skate. I use like a longboard, you know. That's like how I taught my boys how to ride their bike. My older one kind of just took to it pretty easy, but my younger boy he's like so stubborn, man. And he did not want to take the training wheels off till he said so. And one day he was like, all right, let's take them off. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
And so I just went out there and just rode my skateboard next to him. Kind of like helped him out. And so he was like, come on. So after that, it was just, but I used to skate with him everywhere.
See, and I think the difference too with my kid versus my upbringing, mine was more like, hey, we're taking you to the park. My brother helped me with riding a bike without training wheels, you know, because you're in that stage of like, oh, I don't know if I feel confident enough, I'm going to fall off. He takes me to a park with a hill. In the grass, there's gopher holes. Hey, dude, today's the day. It's either make it or break it, and you're doing it. Mm-hmm. I learned how to swim the same way. You get thrown in the pool, you're going to make it work. With my kid, it's like, let's do lessons. Maybe we have a neighbor who has a son who can... I want to make sure he's got the proper helmet. You know, I did all this crap. I didn't have a helmet one day. Maybe that's why I'm brain dead today, but...
I didn't want to say anything.
There was a sense of adventure, right? Yeah. I mean... I remember riding home after crashing on my bike where your handlebars are sideways and your tire's going straight because you biffed it, and you're riding back home because you need to straighten out your handlebars. I don't think my kid has ever experienced stuff like that because now I got him a nice BMX bike, but he wants everything with electric. It has to have a motor. And I'm like, you're missing out on some great stuff because these electric bikes, you don't get me wrong, they're awesome. But they're so heavy. Like ours, BMX days is like you gotta be the lightest bike you can possibly have to get the highest.
I had a Diamondback.
Yeah,
I was walking.
I was a red line.
Oh, I had a Diamondback. I like those, man. I like just to have a shiny bike. Was it like a chrome one?
Yeah, it was
yeah.
chrome.
I love that.
I destroyed it. It was not very pretty for very long. So I was just out.
You know the crazy
that
part?
thing
Have you
over
guys
walls.
seen those on the internet marketplace stuff?
They're
Some
worth
of these
a lot,
old school,
right?
like couple grand, these old school bikes,
Yeah.
and you're like, damn, I beat the hell out of mine.
Yeah, my seat post broke.
Plastic mags on them.
One of the saddest moments was in junior high, and I went off this. It was a loading dock, and there was a huge drop because the trucks would drive back up, and so there was a huge space there to jump. And I went off that, and when I landed, my seat post broke because I had to keep raising it because I was
that's
getting
what
too big
happened
for
to
my
you.
bike.
Oh, is that why the plumber was over?
That's where it all went.
Ooh.
I don't know if you can tell from the video. You may be able to tell, but I'm just kind of ignoring these guys.
The video is off.
It's kind of like it's really, you guys are getting served right now, but and not in a good way. But no, when that seat post broke, it was like a little piece of me broke because I never rode my BMX again after that.
Ever?
That was my last ride on my BMX bike because that was an expensive bike. It was my Diamondback. The seat post broke, and I couldn't just find another post for that. It was a hassle, and I was getting to that age where you don't ride your BMX as much, but I still secretly in my heart would ride it. I mean, I would physically go ride it, but then, there was a while where nobody else was riding, I was still riding, and it just felt like, and it was kind of, you remember there was a movie back in the 80s that came out, Rad, and it was just all about BMX and riding bikes, and that was popular for a while. I mean, that was a big thing. Now I walk to the gym and I see a kid on an electric scooter holding his little tiny legs on there. Your little baby legs. You can get a little gym, a little workout, maybe a little walk would be good for your little baby leg. It's kind of, it's in a way, it's just interesting to watch. Dude, this podcast, this episode, unfortunately, has been about
everything but the topics.
The people, no, it's been about, the devolving human race in a way. And we hope that people are getting out there and walking once in a while or whatever, or taking the time to think through things instead of just putting everything into that category of muscle memory and not doing any critical examination of their life. I'm not saying you got to be all existential or deep like us maybe, but like take some time and just think about it. And this has been another really good episode where people are really going to come away thinking, that was horrible. That was a waste of time. But I hope we made somebody smile, and thank you for listening. This is Pierce.
Red.
11.
Signing off. Take care and be kind. We'll be back with another episode in 2 weeks. In the meantime, feel free to check us out on Facebook or on our website at heroesofhumility.com. Don't forget to subscribe for updates here on the podcast. Thanks for your support.